Those thanks again for tuning into yet another video. So this is the review on the TCMT FXRT fairing so far, based off of prep and the quality of the fairing. Of course, the fairing is very inexpensive compared to the other options. All right, I have the Dominator on my Lowrider S currently. That thing will cost you about $2,000. Depending on what kit you get, of course. The kit I went with is the fairing and the lowers that cost about $2,200. So very expensive. All right. You also have the Clockworks that will cost you $2,000, and that's just the fairing and the bracket. All right. So you can see there's a huge price difference between these options. All right. So that being said, as far as the RWD, from what I've seen in the videos, the install videos on the JD Customs and the Clockworks, these fairings, they appear to be the same material as far as fiberglass, chopped and stranded fiberglass. All right, from what I can see, the Dominator and the RWD, they appear to be woven fiberglass, which is much better. It's also more expensive than the chopped and stranded version. This is easier to mold, it's easier to lay, and a lot easier compared to the woven one. But woven one, it's a lot stronger, and I believe it should last you longer. I honestly believe both of these options will last you over 15 years. All right, so that being said, it really depends on how much you want to spend. I believe the bracket seems to be pretty solid from the TCMT option. I have yet to install it because I've still been prepping this, so we'll see. Once it comes down to installing it, we'll be able to see. But this is, like I said, this is just a review on the overall quality of the fairing. So I mean, it's under $1,000 for both, and if you just get the fairing, you're looking at about $900. So with the bracket, of course, you also get the bracket. I have the unboxing video. You can see how much it all weighs. So as far as the prep, I was actually quite surprised. TCMT did take care of a lot of the prep. I did have, of course, the issue here and the issue by the vent. They were cracked. They were broken. There was a lot of resin, which is just something that had me a little bit of an odd, or just a little bit confused, considering that the chopped and stranded fiberglass is easier to mold. It's a lighter material and it's not woven, so it's a little bit more flexible. And for TCMT to have that difficulty of making sure you have fiberglass all the way through the resin, just that was a little bit of a red flag. All right, like I said, as far as the prep, a lot of the outer edges, there was just like one crack right here along the seam of the fairing, but that was something that I had on my Dominator as well. As far as the prep, it looked like TCMT, they've already repaired a lot of that stuff. This fairing is, if it wasn't for this and the vent, the broken vent, this thing would have been ready for spray after, of course, a 320 sanding. So this is just, of course, like I said, just a first impressions review so far of the quality of the fairing. Like I mentioned, I believe that JD Customs might be using the same fairing or the same manufacturer. That's what I believe. RWD, like I said, I believe they actually make their fairing, but it's just, if I order one from them, I'll be able to see firsthand, and I'll be able to tell for sure, because like I said, most of the other options are using this kind of fiberglass, the chopped and stranded. I believe the Clockworks might be using the same material, but I can't really say for sure, unless I really look at it. But from the videos, like I mentioned, Clockworks seems to be using the same fiberglass material. So I would say the Clockworks has, they do have the flared windshield, but $2,000, that's pretty steep for I'm just saying if they actually make it here in the States, like if they're not using a drop shipper or another supplier, then I guess you could justify paying the $2,000 because you are supporting a USA made product. Those are the benefits from the fairing group. There's been a mix of reviews, because I look at all the posts and I look at who buys what. The TCMT people have mentioned, Clockworks. People have mentioned Dominator, like my own experience with Dominator, their products, their fairing and stuff like that. I'm sharing them right now. JD Customs. A lot of folks seem to be happy with the JD Custom, and a lot of people seem to be happy with this option as well, the TCMT. It just really comes down to prep, like, this stuff and that stuff. It could happen. Even FXDLS Brooklyn had that issue with their RWD. I believe he had ordered the RWD and he waited, I say, a few months. I believe he waited a few months before he even installed it on his Lowrider S. I believe he has a 2017 FXDLS. He had installed it. He noticed there was damage. I guess the prepper charged him extra to repair it. I don't know where it was. He had contacted RWD, and since he had waited so long, they didn't, offer him a refund or offer him a different fairing or anything like that. I guess they had told FXDLS Brooklyn that, it's pretty much, it is what it is. So, like I mentioned, people have mentioned some issues with the Clockworks. You guys have seen my own issues with the Dominator. A lot of these are it's a hit or miss, hit or miss. That's a miss. I have the experience on how to repair it, but, other people that are, DIY guys, they're going to have a difficult time, addressing those issues. So if it wasn't for that, man, I'd say the fairing's pretty good. The bracket looks solid. Like I mentioned, it really depends on what you want. Do you want a high quality fairing? Then you're gonna have to pay the $2,000. I think the Dominator, like I said, it has the carbon fiber. They have the bracket. It's got issues, but I believe that one's about $1,500 to $1,600. And I was actually really impressed with how fast I got it. I had it within like 2 weeks. This was during the lockdown, so if it wasn't for the lockdowns, I think I would have had that fairing in about 5 days, because there were some UPS customs delays because of the lockdowns. But if it wasn't for that, I'm pretty sure I would have had that fairing in about 5 days. I had it like in about 6 days. Because of course the weekend and the delays. So I had it within 2 weeks for sure. Super fast shipping, and of course I didn't have to pay taxes on the Dominator because it's a manufacturer overseas. So there is that. I did have to pay taxes on this. So there's a lot of options. There's a new company now in Texas that they're also making their own product, Picard USA, and they're pretty much aligned as far as price with JD Customs, RWD, for most of the manufacturers. The TCMT seems to be the only one that you're going to be paying under $1,000 with the bracket and everything you need. So pretty solid. Like I said, a lot of you can see it up here. A lot of the little yellow it's TCMT's filler. The red stuff is mine. And of course the primer is also mine, but I spray the primer so I could see the shape of this front end. So I'm going to keep on just sanding it down, or I'm actually going to just wash it and get it ready for my paint. But there's that, the fairing looks pretty good. I would say, if you really only have to deal with, the minor little putty stuff like that, then it's a good fairing for the price. So there's that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully this answers any questions as far as the quality. Like I said, it really depends on your budget, and if you really believe that the woven fiberglass is worth the extra $600 to $700, then you could go that route. If you really don't care about it, like I said, the fairing's gonna last. This fairing's gonna last you 15, 20 years easy. Even though it is the chopped stranded, the actual fiberglass here, where it mounts, where the bracket actually mounts, it's super thick. I'd say it's closer to maybe half an inch. Well, I'm actually over exaggerating. It's maybe about 3/8 of an inch, a quarter to 3/8 of an inch thick right here where it mounts. So I think it's pretty decent for what it is. It's really thick right here. I also noticed that the actual mounting it's like bowled. It's not flat. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to cause some issues once I mount my LP6, but we'll just see when it comes down to that. But if it wasn't for the two damaged areas, it'd be an easy recommendation. But like I mentioned, you could get that with any of the other manufacturers. Quite honestly, these are not all mass produced. They're not cookie cutter products. That's why I mentioned the FXRT fairing. If you get it from Advent Black, you're honestly paying less, because you could get it color matched, and those ABS, they're molded. They're injected molded fairings, so they're pretty much cookie cutter products. The FXRT, FXRP fairings, these are fiberglass. They got to be molded. They got to be sanded. They got to there's a lot. And then of course you still have to prep it. If you don't know how to prep, you got to get someone else to prep it. This is why I mentioned that the FXRT fairing, it's going to cost you a lot more than the Advent Black with the bracket and the color match. $1,800, $1,800. You get it color matched, and you get the proper bracket from Advent Black. This thing so far, yes, it's $1,000, but if you're not prepping it, that's easily another. I know it really depends on your painter, your local painter, but you could easily spend anywhere from $800 all the way up to $2,000 as far as the prep, the paints and stuff like that. I spoke to a few guys here in my area who have the Dominator fiber, the carbon fiber one, and they were quoted $800 for just the clear. Just the clear. No paint, nothing like that. Just sanding it down and re-clearing, spraying clear over it. $800 for just plain clear coat. That's it. $800. I wasn't sure what the prepper saw in the fairing. Since the carbon fiber, there isn't really prep to it, because you really can't do that with carbon fiber. That's why when you buy it from Dominator, the carbon fiber, it could take up to a year. Writing that, I believe he waited about 6 to 12 months for his carbon fiber FXRP fairing, which he ended up selling anyways. He sold it, I believe, within a month of owning it. He just wasn't happy with it. So, enough rambling. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching yet another video. Life's a risk. Get out there and ride. Later.